I really wanted to be a songwriter. And so I think the whole artistry part, like I released my own music, but I think I saw my future in being like a songwriter. So performing and really taking on artistry and
But I'm Adam, and this is a podcast about you and your journey in music. And we'll talk about the EP you have coming out and everything else.
yes, amazing.
Awesome. So first off, where were you born and raised?
I was born in London. Well, I was born in London and then raised like 40 minutes outside of London in a small
Okay.
town called Haywards Heath. Not that anyone's going to know where that is, but you never know.
Yeah, you never. How small of a town are you talking? Like, did you know all the same kids through school, like grade school through?
Well, we actually went to school in a town like 15 minutes from my town, and we'd get there on the train, which Americans always find really interesting. We used to catch the train to school.
Like a public transit train? Not
Yeah,
like a school bus
we
train.
lived like
Or no, a train. I'm
legit
getting everything
train.
like
No, yeah, we would walk to the train station, get on the train with like commuters and random people, get off of the train, like it was like 2 stops on the train, head to the train sweet shop and like at 7 a.m. buy lots of sweets, like with any specials that we had, and then walk to school, which was like 2 minutes from the train station. So
all amped up on candy.
yeah, and then have a sugar crash, like
crash like in 2 hours into school.
Like that was the coolest thing. I was like, oh, we felt so independent. Like
I was gonna say, yeah, you're like adult, like so, like
at age like 11, we were just like enjoying the train. But I feel like I never was aware of safety issues until like with walking, like in England, walking around and like catching public transport is just so normal. So it feels very safe, I guess.
Yeah, and you're in LA now?
I am. Well, I'm in Huntington Beach, so a little south of LA, but
south of LA. Beautiful area, by the way.
I love it. I love it.
I love those towns that are like south of LA. I mean, I'm from San Diego, so like you get up to like San Clemente and Dana Point, and all that whole area is so beautiful.
The beaches are amazing. I lived in LA when I first moved out here, and it was just a little too intense for my British soul. I was like, this is a lot. Like, yeah, I was living right in the center of West Hollywood, and I couldn't walk I never felt safe. Like,
that's a bit different.
I couldn't walk anywhere, and every time I tried to drive somewhere, I was stuck in endless traffic. So Huntington Beach has been so nice, honestly. I just love going to the beach and just walking around, and I love it down here.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Well, that's interesting. Yeah, going to LA, being used to public transit and everything, and then you cannot. I mean, there really isn't much.
No. And I mean, I had a nice transition to the States because I was in Boston first.
You went to Berklee? Is that what I read?
Yeah, I went to Berklee. And so Boston, I call it like my first home in America. And like for that, I will always have this special place in my heart. But I feel like Boston is a perfect transition city coming from somewhere like London or from England, because it still has a bit of that European East Coast vibes, which honestly I love. But I love the West Coast too. So it's like positives and negatives. The winter in Boston is horrifying. So
I can't even imagine. It's even when I moved to Tennessee, I'm like, this is crazy. It's like barely any snow. I'm like, how do you deal? But you don't have any. Well, so how did you get into music? Do you come from a musical household at all?
Kind of. My mom, we used to call her the music monster growing up. Well, my dad would call her that, and we adopted the name because I have like 3 younger siblings, but she would really wanted us to play piano and then like another instrument. And she was like kind of forced us to practice. And she was like very keen on us playing music, classical music.
Awesome.
Yeah, which at the time, I loved it. Then I went through my teenage phase of absolutely hating it, but still being forced to do it. And now obviously so grateful. So grew up playing classical piano, playing in an orchestra, the clarinet, like my whole life.
Oh,
Singing
wow.
choir.
When did you start clarinet? That was the instrument I learned, like when you had to choose an instrument in like
Yeah,
fifth
I chose the
fifth grade.
clarinet.
And well, the reason why I chose the clarinet is because in fourth, you got to go and watch the fifth graders play, and then you could pick an instrument. And
Yeah.
I watched this kid like put his mouth over the whole mouthpiece and just make this like duck obnoxious sound. And I'm like, that is the instrument I want to play.
And then you were like probably regretted it after.
Oh yeah. No, but I mean, I was terrible. Like the reed and all that was just like,
I know,
okay, this is
I
a bit
know.
much.
I know. I think that I like heard the clarinet being played somewhere too, and I like the sound of it, not the duck sound, like
Yeah, the actual sound.
But yeah, I loved playing clarinet. I did a lot of orchestra growing up. And then I started writing songs when I was about 10. And
Wow, that's
I
early.
think, yeah, I remember my godfather passed away, and it's like such a cliche story, but I do remember just like, I don't really know how it happened, but I decided to write a song about that. And so I think ever since then, I just started and kept writing songs when I was feeling something deeply. And so that's why songwriting began. But I think I get that side from my dad, who really like fancies himself as a singer, but he's not at all. But you know, he's the type of person that when you call him, he like answers the phone with a song.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, or like he leaves you a voicemail and it's like him just singing for a long time. So he like would always be singing, and he introduced me to people he loved, like Elvis Costello or the Beach Boys, or like that old school vibe. And so I think, you know, there wasn't a super musical household in the sense that my parents do music or anything, but they definitely love music. So
but to
yeah.
write, I mean, to write a song at 10, especially taking on like that subject matter. I mean,
I know. I was like, I don't know where that came from, honestly, that I just decided to write a song, such a deep song, but there we go.
yeah. And did you
I'll
continue
reflect.
on? Were you like, wow, this is a great way I can process my emotions?
I
Maybe you
think
weren't thinking that much into it, but did you continue
yeah,
writing after that?
I think it was that. It felt like a way of processing like big feelings. And I remember like I went to a girls' school, so like there was no boys in sight, but we were all really desperate by the time we were like 14 to like meet a boy. We were like, where can we meet a boy? And I remember watching Love Story by Taylor Swift, the music
Oh, the
video.
video, sure.
Yeah, and I remember just being obsessed. And so I like felt it so deeply, even though I'd never like been with a boy or anything. But I remember, yeah, I was like so lame. But I remember writing a song basically just inspired by that feeling of like wanting to be in love and pretending that I was. So I think, yeah, whenever I was feeling some big emotion, I would turn to the piano and start writing a song.
That's amazing though.
Yeah.
And did you end up going to Berklee for clarinet, or did you go like tell me about
I went
going there? And that's a big move, going
I
from London.
know. So I was actually originally gonna do classical piano at like a conservatory in England. Like I applied to 5 different schools in England and I was gonna do that. But then I was like, maybe I want to do songwriting more than classical, like which is just endless practicing by yourself in like a tiny room. And I just remember like, do I really want to spend like years just by myself playing scales over and over again? And so then I applied to Berklee kind of randomly, and when that all happened with the right amount of money and everything, that basically everything just fell into the place to the point where I could go. And so yeah, it was just like kind of random, but also obviously not random, and it was amazing. And yeah, and so moved to Boston.
You went in as a songwriter. That was the how.
Yeah, sorry, I
Okay,
went
wow.
in as well. I went in with piano. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, but as
So you
part
got
of
accept. Yeah, that makes sense. And then you can go, okay, but I want to write songs.
yeah, as part of the audition, you could like I think we did 3 songs, and so I played like a jazz one and a classical one, and then I played one of my own songs. So I guess voice was also in there a little bit, but it was mainly for piano that I
Oh,
got in.
very cool.
Yeah.
And so did you end up like while you're going to school there, were you playing I know there's like a lot of little coffee shops and places that you could perform at. Were you doing that at all?
I was not at
Okay.
all. Actually, like, it's funny that even like I really wanted to be a songwriter. And so
Mhm.
I think the whole artistry part, like I released my own music, but I think I saw my future in being like a songwriter. So performing and really taking on artistry and like just saying I'm an artist and that's what I am, and that's what I do, has actually been like a more recent thing for me. But I would sing with my friends and I did do a couple of shows like with my own music, but it definitely wasn't something that I was like out every weekend performing. I
Mhm.
think that's actually just been like a much more recent
Oh,
thing that
okay.
I'm into.
Did
Yeah.
Was the hope to write for other people, or did you want to have your own artist project?
Yeah. I mean, my hope was like I think the main thing I thought I would be doing was writing for other people. And then I would have my artist project just be like my escape, my thing. Like I'm just going to do my artist project for myself.
Mhm.
Um, but then, like, honestly, since moving out here and just the way that life worked out, it's kind of switched. I still do write for other people, but and I'm really grateful for how it turned out because I absolutely love being an artist and doing my artist thing. And I just figured out through the process that this is like so life-giving for me. And so I've been really enjoying that.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love your songs, and you're very direct in your lyrics. Like it's not a whole lot of like no, but it's like great. No, I not that, but like you're that vulnerable. You're like, I'm just gonna write this out like as
Yeah,
it
yeah,
happened. And
true.
not a lot of people can do that, nor get away with it. I feel like the way you write is so relatable to such a broad spectrum of people. It's really cool.
Thank you. Yeah, it's very that doesn't leave too much up for the imagination, I guess. It's almost like reading someone's diary, I guess.
Right. No, that's
Um,
exactly it.
and yeah, I just love writing like that, honestly. And my songs are inspired definitely by my real life experiences and things I'm going through. But also, I love books. And so sometimes I'll read like a line of a book, and that's like, oh my gosh, I have a whole story in my mind just from that line of the book, or like a poem that I love, or something I overhear. So yeah, I love creating stories and I love writing. And so I think that comes out, and that's how I write, just like in a very straightforward type of way. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think it's so creative in the sense that, like you said, it's like reading your diary. You're writing it out and being able to sing it and put melody to it in a way that you don't have to hide behind meaning as much as maybe another type of writer.
Mhm.
What was like, was there a moment or a song that you had released or put out that kind of changed the trajectory of what you were doing as far as like, okay, I want to write for other people, but you said that kind of switched and it's like now it's the artist project that's obviously doing very well or kind of overshadowed it. Like, was there a particular song or a moment like that switch happened?
Yeah, it was with I Hope You Think of Me. It just started to gain a lot of traction on TikTok. And
Mhm.
so that song is so funny because it really truly is about when I was falling in love with my husband. And so it's like I took myself back to that point because we were best friends for like a year before we got together.
Mhm.
And so there's lines that are literally, we were living in Boston. And so one of the lines is like about how there was mice in my apartment. So I showed up at his apartment like in the middle of the night, there's a line about that. Or about how I fell in love with him on his birthday, which is actually what happened. And so people loved the story, and I played it for my husband in the car, and his reaction to the song um, also gained a lot of traction. And I still get people messaging me like, oh my gosh, I'm in love with my best friend. Like, what shall I do? And I'm like, I don't know, but I'm like, I'm here for you. And actually, someone DM'd me yesterday and they're like, we're together now. And I was like, I'm so happy.
Wow, that's cool. You get to hear those like love
Yeah,
stories.
but that actually is that song is what really kicked it off for me. And then it's happened with a few other songs like since then. And so it's just been honestly the coolest thing. And it's like, if you asked me like a year ago if this is, I couldn't have imagined that this is where I would be. So I'm just really grateful for the whole process, honestly.
When you put out I Hope You Think of Me, was that, you said it was on TikTok that it started to move? Was that like, had you been posting before that and then you put this one up and you start seeing, you know, the numbers go crazy, or was your phone, you know, going off, or
Yeah,
like, what was it like?
it was cool. I think I'd had like a few smaller successes, I guess, on TikTok. Like some videos had done well.
Mhm.
But this one was the first one that really had stuck with people. And the first time I ever got like a million of anything. And I was like, a million, that's just so
That's
many.
wild. Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, it was just like, honestly, it was kind of surreal. And just like, it's always amazing when people connect to your music. And I think it's the individual comments too that you're just like, wow, someone connects to my song that much, or
Mhm.
someone wants to tell me their story because they heard my story. I think it's just so cool. And so yeah, it was really wild. Honestly, wasn't expecting it, because also with social media and with TikTok, you post so much, and it's discouraging sometimes because you post a lot and sometimes you get like literally no interaction for a long time, and you're like, oh my gosh, is this ever gonna do
Right.
anything?
Do I
And
give
then
up, or you're right?
yeah, and that's the same with pursuing music, because honestly, I've been pursuing the whole previous year. I've been really just working as a songwriter, and it's hard. Like the music industry is, I mean, any industry, but the music industry, which is what I have experience of, is just like you're working your butt off, honestly, for like oftentimes literally no money, and you're just doing and pursuing your dream with everything you've got and seeing very little success. So it was just so cool to start seeing like all the work pay off. And it was honestly just like, it felt like I didn't do anything different, but it was like the right time, the right song, the right moment, and it just came together, and it's been really fun.
That's so cool. Yeah. I mean, or before that song really hit, you probably had other, maybe like little victory moments or little like validations, or like, do you remember that? Like, okay, like, oh my gosh, I'm defeated. I'm should I just hang up the, you know, towel? And then it's like, oh, okay, then this will happen. Like, were you getting those little moments, or like, or before that big one?
Yeah, for sure. Like you get those little moments or those little stories of someone reaching out to you saying like, don't give up, like I absolutely love this, or keep going, like I love the way you tell stories, or whatever it is. And it definitely encourages you to keep going. But I do remember at the end of 2021, I had been in LA for almost a year, and I do remember really feeling like, oh, I don't know if I really can keep pursuing this. I remember feeling very like defeated, honestly.
Mhm.
Um, and then pretty much in the beginning of 2022, or like a few months into 2022, that's when things started to happen. And so, yeah, I definitely would encourage anyone who's listening and pursuing music to just keep going. Like if this is what you truly love, it's just like timing, we can't control it. You
Mhm.
just gotta, but I really think if you're consistent and you have something special and something that's yours, like eventually your time like will come. But
Mhm.
it's just,
Yeah.
it's hard sometimes
It's
to keep
hard.
going. Yeah.
Yeah, you're like, am I wasting my time? Like, I've been
Yeah,
doing
literally.
this my whole life. Is it gonna ever work out?
For real.
uh,
For real.
so you have your EPs coming out. Is it on Friday? A week from today?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah. A week. A
congratulations.
week. Yeah.
That's a super exciting.
Yeah.
What If I Still Miss You is the most recent song from the project, correct? Like, tell me about, when did you start writing this? Was it fairly recently, or were these songs that you had
Oh,
been working on for a while?
the whole project?
Yeah, the whole project. I'm ahead of myself. I'm asking like three questions
Oh
at
no,
once.
you're good.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, the whole project, it's been a crazy process, but I begun writing it 2 years ago, I guess,
Mm, okay.
during COVID, when COVID was still a thing.
Oh, were you
Um,
in LA when COVID happened? Now
no,
I'm curious about that. Okay.
I was back in London,
Okay.
stuck in England.
Well, at least you're home with family. It wasn't like you were in
No,
Boston or here or what, or
honestly,
LA or whatever.
it was, yeah, that was such a blessing. I don't know what I would have done if I'd been stuck like in a small apartment in
Mhm.
a crazy city. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was in the countryside like with my family, so I was very blessed. But I still felt very stuck because, you know, I had just graduated and I was like ready to like take on the world, and then you're like, just kidding, you have to stay in your house for like an indefinite amount of
Yeah,
time.
exactly.
But yeah, I started writing like the songs then, and I actually thought that this originally was going to be like 4 or 5 song EP. I wanted it to come out like 2021 or the beginning of 2022, and there was so many obstacles that I kept facing, like things weren't getting done, or I wouldn't hear back from my producer, or like yeah, just like everything kept kind of going wrong, I guess.
Mhm.
But honestly, it turned out to be like a blessing in disguise because, like I said, like I didn't really start gaining even a following until the beginning of 2022. And so, and I hope you think of me, I hadn't even written it until the end of 2021. And so just like all these things happened kind of out of my control. And I personally would have released it like way earlier if I could have had my ideal timeline. But the project kind of just had a life of its own and developed itself. And like I said, like listeners and people interacting with my music actually helped me to shape the project into what it is today. And so from like a 4 song thing that I wanted to just like put it out and it to just be like my thing, 2 years later, it's become like a 10 song project, which is, it came together chaotically, but it's so cohesive. Like I look back and I listen to it, I'm like, wow, this is one story. And it's not just for me, it's like for all the people that actually helped me to shape it and interacted with me during the time and told me their stories or encouraged me to put something out. I'm like, yeah, it's just became so much, I guess, bigger than I thought it was going to be. It was also way more frustrating of a process than I thought it was going to be. But yeah, it's been really cool to see how it's come together. And I honestly can't believe it's finally all going to be out in the world in 1 week. Yeah.
1 week. That's super exciting.
Yeah.
Was you said there was 4 songs. Did those 4 songs change over the course of the, now or when it's
Yeah.
completed?
Actually, only 2 of those songs even made it into the
Oh,
project.
wow.
Yeah, which is crazy. So, When All the Love Is Gone, that was like the first one I wrote for it.
Mhm.
And A Little Good Left, which is like the last song on the project, that made it too. So that song
We
is
haven't
actually,
put that one out yet, right? The
no,
one.
and that song, I love it. It's just, I wrote that one in the depths of COVID, like, and it's called A Little Good Left because I literally was one day so just feeling so stuck. And I was like, oh my gosh, when is this ever gonna end? Like this lockdown. And I was like, okay, I've got to make a list of things that are still good, like even when everything feels like it sucks. And so I made like a list, and it's like coffee on Sunday mornings and falling asleep to rain and bakeries and flower shops and seeing a familiar face. I just like wrote all this whole list, and then I put it into this like little song, and it's kind of like an outro. But it's like, yeah, it's just such a cute little reminder of things that are still good in the world, even when you're going through a really hard time. And even though
Mhm.
they're like silly things, they're things that kind of I can romanticize and be like, oh, all is well with the world if there's still like coffee.
Right. No, I love it. Well, especially during like COVID time. I mean, the bakery and
Yeah.
these things were like everyone took everything like that for granted for so long. And then it's like, well, now I can't even go outside. There is no
I
bakery
know.
open right now. Like, what? Like, we're all in this weird position of, you know, rational, like trying to buy up all the rice and toilet paper because we
Oh my
don't know
God.
when this thing is gonna end or whatever. And it's like, wasn't it nice when you could just go to the bakery like 6 months ago or whatever it was? I mean, yeah, it's interesting to think about this. I mean, it makes sense for sure.
Yeah.
Um, so wow, okay, so the project's coming out and you've put out like 7, I believe, from the record. You got 3 more,
Yeah.
and you're doing a show like a a release for it too. That'll be exciting.
Yes, I'm doing a show on Wednesday, a few days before the project comes out. Yeah, I'm excited. It's my first time playing like with a full band. So
Oh, are you
that's
used to
really
just
fun.
doing but shows just by yourself, like solo?
Yeah, usually just me and like one other person playing keys or playing guitar with me. So yeah, used to just like being very small, but we were like, come on, it's your show, you got to go all out. So, and my husband, he is like a very extra person, like he doesn't go do things halfway. So as soon as I got him involved, it's like turned into this very big extravaganza.
Is he a musician as well?
He is like, so
Okay.
yeah, we met in Berklee, and so he's an insane singer and he's really good at directing a band, and yeah, he's very talented. So he's been a lot of help, but he also like makes things very extra, but it's good. It's pushing me because I probably would have done something like very simple in my comfort zone.
Uh-huh.
Like, this is my release show, so it's the time to like push the
So
button
big.
out a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So it should be good. I'm very excited and nervous, but yeah.
Wow. Or have was the rehearsals like with the full band like coming out was that a lot different hearing it all like kind of
It was
together?
actually, yeah, it was. And it made me so excited because I don't know, there's something different about, hearing your music live, like with everyone playing along. And it was so cool actually to hear things with a more of a full band. So I am excited. I'm nervous, but I'm excited.
Out of
Yeah.
the remaining songs, is there a particular, or what was the song you were like most excited for people to hear on the EP? I know that's kind of a generic question, but I'm just curious. Or if it's one that
Well,
you've released yet,
that I haven't released yet. I mean,
or is it one that you have released? I
oh,
don't know.
oh. Well, I feel like my favorite song is always changing, but I think my favorite song right now is Rich, which has already come out.
Yeah.
Just because it's still so true to my life and where I am right now. But kind of like the heartbreak, I'm so proud of that song. And that's actually a song that I wrote about my best friend's heartbreak. And I only wrote it a few months ago. So this one got added like in the final hour. Like, yeah, I gave everyone at the label almost a heart attack trying to get the song like onto the project. But I just felt like it needed to be on there, and I love it. I think it's really deep and it's really true because it's written from a place of deep heartbreak, even though it's not my own. But feel like I walked through that heartbreak with my best friend, and I actually wrote the song. I stayed the night at her place in LA, and we'd been like up and talking, and I went straight to a session after being with her, and the only thing I could think about was her and what she'd been going through. And so this song really just came from that place of like feeling totally broken and feeling like you don't even want to move out of the heartbreak, because then you're going to forget what it felt like to feel that person. You'd rather like feel the pain of them than not feel them at all. And so I think I'm excited for people to hear the whole song because I'm just really proud of it. And yeah.
Wow. And did you play it for her?
Yes, I sent it to her, and she's just, yeah, yeah. I
That's
I
cool.
I got her permission because honestly, at that time, like I said, all I could think about was her and what she was going through, because that was like the most emotional thing that was happening in my life, honestly. And so every
Right.
session I went to, like I felt like writing a heartbreak song, and I was like, I'm sorry, I wrote like another song about you. And she's like, it's okay. Like luckily she didn't mind. She's like, honestly, at least like something good is coming out of this. And I was like, okay, as long as you don't mind, that's fine. I'll keep writing songs about you. Yeah, but I was like, I gotta warn her and
Right.
ask permission because
You're like, this isn't about you. I
yeah,
don't know what you're talking
yeah.
about.
But no, this is not about you at all.
She's like,
Yeah.
heartbreak. Like, aren't you married and everything's going? You're like, oh yeah, it's
Oh, I know. I know people sometimes are like really confused because I'll use like videos of me and Jariel because I like to create for Instagram Reels and TikTok. I like to create like a little montage or music video-ish type thing.
Yeah, I've noticed that. It's cool.
Yeah, that's how I started, and I always loved creating those type of videos. But obviously, like, me and Jariel are very happy, and then people will be like, wait, did you and your husband like break up? And I'm like, no. But yeah,
well, you're convinced it was convincing, right?
Oh no, people are getting confused. But no, yeah.
Well, I appreciate your time, Lily. Thank you so much for doing this. I can't wait to hear the rest of the record. And I have one more question. You kind of answered in the middle of the interview, but I'm going to ask it again anyway. Do you have any advice for aspiring artists?
Oh yeah. My advice is write about what is true to you and like what you're excited about. Write about something that excites you or moves you. Collaborate with people, just like ask people to work with you and just be bold, like reach out and keep going. I think that's the, like I said earlier, that's the place where most people probably fall off the bandwagon, is just that feeling of giving up, because you do feel sometimes like a big failure. But keep going, like just keep going with it, and I'm sure if you work hard and you keep going, there's a place for you, and there's people that are going to want to hear what you have to say. So